What is up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? Me and Muhammad are back this week for another really, really good video. Tonight, we are going to be going over the win totals for each team in the NFL. We're going to give you our over-unders for each team in the NFL, and then we're going to go over what teams we think are going to finish first and last in in every division. So, and we might talk about Tez Johnson. There's been a lot of rumors swirling that he's purposely trying to tank his draft stock so he can get drafted by the Broncos. There's also been rumors of Sean Payton wants to maybe trade up for 20 to pick 8, pick 9 to draft Ashton Jeanty. We'll go over that tonight. But to get it started, we are going to start with the over and unders for each team. The first team I want to talk about, Mohammed, is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are set at 11 and a half wins this season. What is your opinion? Do you think they're going to go over or under 11 and a half wins, and why?
I don't know, Eddie. Like they're so hard to evaluate because every year they get you so excited, and then and then they disappoint me. Like I don't 11 and a half. I would say probably more, maybe like 12, 13 games, something like that. That's where I would have them.
12 or 13?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going over this like there's two teams in the AFC to me that they do good during the regular season. The playoffs, it seems like they always fold. But Baltimore is one of them. They got them set at 11 and a half wins. Of course, I'm going to push the over on this because I still think Baltimore, even though they're not, they kind of choke in the playoffs every year.
yeah, they do.
Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs, man. He is a freaking dominant. Him and the Ravens are a dominant force in the regular season. I'm pushing the over. I'm probably going about what you said, about 13, maybe 14 wins. Uh it's just I can't for the life of me go under 11 and a half wins for Baltimore because if they go under 11 wins, dude, like to me
Something's
that
wrong.
means Lamar Jackson's probably injured, Derrick Henry's injured, all their starters are injured. They're going under 11 wins, and so I'm pushing the over. I'm pushing about 13, maybe 13 and a half wins this year for the Baltimore Ravens. The next one we got up, Buffalo Bills. This is the other team I was kind of talking about with they kind of choking the playoffs every year, but they're set at 11 and a half wins. What do you got them doing? Over or under, Mohammed?
See, they're just like you said, Eddie. Just like the Ravens. They go to they get you excited. They go to the playoffs. I mean, they beat us on that first round, but and then they choke. So I think same thing, Eddie. I would say maybe 12 wins next season.
Yeah, Buffalo, like I do 100% believe they're going to win that division. Like the Patriots, I think are going to be better this year. The Jets are going to be a dumpster fire. I mean, maybe Fields finally shows something. And Aaron Glenn, maybe he finally, gets to show what he gets to do as a head coach. And the Dolphins, like they're two is one bump away from that team just having to rebuild that entire roster. I mean, I know we already heard, talkings of Tyreek Hill wanting out this offseason. So like 11 and a half, I'm going to push you over to. I think the Buffalo Bills probably about the same, about 12, 13, maybe 14 wins. Like, the schedules haven't been released yet. You still got like a month until the schedules get released. I mean, I'm sure their schedule is not going to be no cakewalk, but just depending on where games are played, and what teams they play at what time of the season, that's really going to make a difference. So I'm going to push you over on the Buffalo Bills myself at if I had to really put my feet to the fire, I'd say 13 and a half, same as Baltimore. Those are two of the top teams in the AFC. Next one, and I'm not trying to be a homer on this, but next one's the Kansas City Chiefs, 11 and a half wins. Uh, Mohammed, what's your over and under on this?
No way, Eddie. No way in hell they're getting 11 wins. No way. I don't see that happening. Honestly, Eddie, I would not be surprised if they missed the playoffs. All these things that they've been doing, all the players they lost, all the crazy stuff going on with their team. Um, Maybe 9.5, 10. Best case scenario, I would say. I'll say 10. for the Chiefs.
I'm going the under too. There's no way. Like, there's no way, dude. They got dominated. That offensive line is atrocious for Kansas City. And the worst thing or the bad thing about it for them is it's gotten worse this offseason. They traded their best offensive line, Tooney. We've talked about this in the past. Tooney's gone. They traded for they're relying on, I think, a 4th or 5th round pick at the new tackle position where Tooney was at. They traded for a backup tackle. Like, their best offensive linemen are their right guard Smith and their center Creed Humphrey. And, you know, Travis Kelce is old. He's washed, in my opinion. So they have no offensive line. Patrick Mahomes is favorite target. They're one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's washed. He's done. He needs to retire after this year because he literally gave up in the Super Bowl. And their defense is just getting older, and they got torched. Like, I'm going the under. I'm saying 9 wins for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. I really am, because I don't think I think they'll probably be frisky. I'll give them that, but they're not over the Chargers or Broncos. They're not gonna be better than them this year. The Chargers and Broncos, even though I think the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as good as Andy Reid or Sean Payton. But the Chargers and Broncos are ascending. The Chiefs are going right downhill. They're going to have, like, even with Patrick Mahomes, they're going to have to be in the midst of a rebuild. Like, they're going to have to do it. Teams have to do that. Doesn't matter if you got how many rebuilds of the for 10 years the Patriots didn't make a Super Bowl. They had to rebuild a few times within that time frame. So, you know, it's inevitable. They're going to have to rebuild. Their players are getting older. Their offensive line, like, they need to fix that somehow. So, but yeah, I'm pushing the under on that. I'm saying 9 wins this year for the Chiefs. Next up is the Philadelphia Eagles, 11.5. Muhammad, you pushing the over under on this?
11.5. You know, my son is a Eagles fan, so he's probably gonna get mad at me. But I don't know. I think Eddie. I think they take a step back. 11.5. I would say 10. Just have a feeling that, you know, because they did lose some players, some key players. So, you know, but I'm going with 10 wins for going with the under.
I'm going slightly under. I'm going with 11. Like,
11.
Their division is more trash than the AFC West. Like, honestly, the Cowboys are garbage. The Giants are garbage. I mean, they're going to play Russell Wilson twice this year. They're going to play Dak Prescott twice this year. And their only real threat to me in that division are the Commanders. I mean, they faced the Commanders in the NFC Championship game this year. I think the Commanders split with the Eagles, but I still think the Eagles, they win that division. But I think, you know, they go 11 wins. I'm pushing the under, but just slightly. They got them set 11.5. I go 11 wins, and, you know, the Eagles win that division. I think, you know, the Commanders, you know, it's going to be a tough, you know, division for them this year with the Commanders. But as far as the Cowboys, to me, the Cowboys are going to sweep the Eagles are going to sweep the Cowboys. They're going to sweep the freaking Giants. I can say the same thing for the Commanders. I believe they're going to sweep the Cowboys and the Giants. So, but I'm just going slightly under that. Next team we got Cincinnati Bengals. They are projected to have 10.5 wins. Muhammad, the over or under on that?
I would go over, Eddie. I do think they will get better this season. You could see how they gotten better towards the end of the season. So I'm going over. You said they're having them what, 11 or 12?
10.5.
10.5. Yeah, I will say 11. I'll just go ahead with 12. I'll go with the over. 12 wins.
Okay. I'm not going over under. I'm saying right where they're at, 10.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get me wrong. The Bengals offense is going to be, as long as Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase are there, hey, they're gonna put up points, but they're gonna have to put up those points every single game because depending on what they do in the draft, that defense is not gonna be able to stop anybody. Yeah. They're not. It's gonna be on Joe. It's literally gonna be on 3 players. It's gonna be on Joe Burrow, freaking T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase for this team to even make the playoffs next year. like, depending on what they do in the draft, I'm sure their first round pick, I think they're picking at 19 or 18, I think, this year. The Bengals are. That has to be a defensive player. That has to be either a corner. Honestly, the only two positions I think they need, like, honestly, if I was them, since they're trying to, they're trying to trade, I think, who is it? Trey Hendrickson? Can't talk. They got to go pass rusher. They got to at least get somebody to get after the opposing team's quarterback. If they don't, they're and even with that, dude, like, if their secondary is just getting torched every game, like, even with an elite pass rusher, they're probably going to have to put up at least 35 plus points a game. I mean, I'm not saying the offense can't do it, because I think they can. But I think eventually the offense is going to be like, dude, defense, you got to do something. Because if they make the playoffs this year, they're going to get cooked in the first round without a defense. They will. Like, we've seen it. Like, yes, I understand this is an offensive league now, but if you don't have a defense to stop somebody, for instance, look at Patrick Mahomes. They say he's the quarterback of the generation. They have one of the top flight offensive minded head coach. They got freaking destroyed by an Eagles defense that had freaking pressure on Mahomes with 4 all game. If the Bengals don't do something about that, dude, like, they could very easily have a losing season and miss the postseason entirely. But if they do somehow make it this year, they're going to get cooked in the first round, in my opinion. So, but that's just me. Let me know if you guys agree with me and Mohammed's takes. I'll get your comments in so we can talk about them. Also, like, comment, subscribe on this video, and also hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Next team up, Detroit Lions. This one to me is just, I don't even know what to say, but they got the Detroit Lions at 10.5 wins this year. Mohammed, you pushing the over or under on this?
Over. I mean, I honestly thought they were going to the Super Bowl last season. They were so good. I had my hopes on them. I'm guessing they get better next season. Same thing. I would say 12 wins, Eddie. I'm going with the over.
Well, they were one of my tops. I think they were my Super Bowl pick for the NFC last year. And honestly, if the freaking defense on the Lions was healthy, if they weren't completely decimated by injuries last year, like, I think the Eagles and Detroit in the NFC Championship game would have been a really good game if Detroit's defense was healthy. But I think the Detroit Lions would have squeaked out a victory there. So I'm pushing the big over on this. I'm pushing 14 wins. I think Detroit's probably going to be the 1 seed in the NFC this year. Like, if they can get I understand they lost both coordinators, but they have the talent on that roster, man. And I understand losing coordinators, sometimes the team takes a step back, but they lost almost all their starters. They were talking about starting guys off the street, and they still made the playoffs last year. So I'm pushing the big over. I'm pushing 14 wins. I think that's what Detroit's going to do. As long as they stay healthy, I'm pushing 14 wins for the Detroit Lions this year. Next up, Los Angeles Chargers. They got them sitting at 10.5 wins. Mohammed, over or under?
You said 12.5 wins?
I'm sorry, 10.5 wins.
10.5. I'm going to try to be I'm trying not to be biased here because I don't care for them really. I'll say 11 wins, Eddie.
So you're going the over. So yeah, so am I.
I know what you're gonna say, Eddie. Go ahead.
What am I gonna say?
Under.
No, I'm pushing the over too. I'm going 11.5.
Okay.
I think the Chargers are going to be good this year. I know they're a division rival. I don't think, like, Jim Harbaugh, like I said, he's a good head coach. He's going to get the Chargers to the playoffs. I have no doubt in my mind. But as far as them winning the Super Bowl, never going to happen. It's never, like, Justin Herbert is a choke artist, and he's a good quarterback, but he gets in the playoffs, he's a choke artist. Jim Harbaugh, same thing, gets in the playoffs, a choke artist. So I'll push the over. I'll give them an extra game, 11.5. But but I wouldn't be surprised if they only win 10 games. I wouldn't be, honestly. It just depends. Like, the receiver core is decimated. Like they don't like Lad McConkey. That's it. I mean, I'm thinking they're picking at what 23 this year, 22. I
Something
think
like
Chargers
that.
are picking at. Like, I think they're also like that's the other thing too. I think they might go running back too. Like they need one. They let J.K. Dobbins go, which was their starting running back last year. They might go running back, or they could go tight end, or they can go wide receiver. Like those are the three big key positions the Chargers need. Defense, they probably need some help, but they still got Khalil Mack, who's a beast. They still got Derwin James on the backside. Like, they need to get more weapons for Justin Herbert.
But
Honestly,
Eddie, I think if Loveland drops, I think they probably go tight end. They really go get him.
they
Benny
probably
Joe
will.
coming back on the second. Yeah, second.
But you know what? I'm not scared of tight ends anymore. I'm not scared of Brock Bowers, Travis Kelsey. I'm not scared of if the Chargers draft Corson and Loveland. I'm not scared of none of those guys because we finally have our inside linebacker that can cover tight ends, and his name is Drake Greenlaw. I'm not worried about tight ends anymore.
There's
It's not
a
a
new
problem.
sheriff in town, Eddie. New sheriff.
So go ahead, draft a tight end, Chargers. Go ahead, act like Travis Kelsey's still, number one, even though I think he's washed. Go ahead, Raiders. Think Brock Bowers is going to torch this Broncos defense. Drake Greenlaw is going to light that freaking kid up over the middle of the field anytime he tries to catch the ball.
Yep.
So I'm fine with it. But next up, we got the Los Angeles Rams. They projected them at 10.5 wins. Mohammed, over or under for this?
You said 10.5?
Yeah.
I'm going under, Eddie. I don't really have a lot of hopes for them. Maybe 9.5 for the Rams. I think they take a step back.
I don't. I'm
think
pushing
no?
the over. I'm pushing 11 wins for the Rams this year. They made the playoffs last year. I can't remember what the record. Last year, their record was 10-7.
Oh, 10. Okay.
And honestly, I would not be surprised if they go 5-1 in the division. The Cardinals they're not good. Jonathan Gannon, I'm pretty sure is on the hot seat this year. Marvin Harrison wasn't even the best rookie receiver last year, even though he was the most hyped up. I think Malik Neighbors was the best receiver last year out of the rookies. The 49ers, they just completely dismantled their team. I mean, which is fine because they got to rebuild. They got to be able to pay Brock Purdy, and they got to rebuild.
Yeah.
So the 49ers, I don't think are going to be competitive, especially after last year. I think what they go, I can't remember what the 49ers went last year. I know it was under 500. So the 49ers are not going to be a problem for them. The Cardinals ain't going to be a problem. And the Seahawks, maybe the Seahawks could be a threat. Maybe. I think that's the only team that maybe splits with the Rams next year is the Seahawks. But that all depends on Darnold. People are talking about Darnold as oh, he finally changed his career. He was in with Kevin O'Connell with the best wide receiver in the game, a good running back, solid offensive line. He had decent weapons in Minnesota last year, and he had one of the top young coaches in the NFL. I don't know. Sam Darnold now went to a Seahawks team with a defensive-minded head coach. Maybe the Seahawks could be good. I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath with it, but I think that's the only team that can beat the freaking Rams next year. So I'm pushing 11.5 wins. I'm sorry, 11 wins for them. So I'm pushing the over on the Rams this year. Next up, of course, is the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, they went 6-11. This year, they got them at 10.5 wins. Mohammed, you pushing the over-under on this?
Definitely under, Eddie. No way. All the players they lost, their defense, and then their offense too. I mean, come on. Debo left, went to the Commanders. I guess they traded him. I would say 8, maybe 9 wins, Eddie. 8.5. Oh, they'll go with 8.5.
I'm going with 8 wins. They lost Drake Greenlaw. They lost Hufanga. They lost some other key players. Like you said, they traded Debo. Trent Williams is, I think, 37 now. Their offensive line is not that great. CMC literally has spaghetti legs. I love CMC, but he's 29. He's had a lot of injuries. Ayuk didn't really have a great productive season last year, and the 49ers last year went 6-11. They literally stripped down their roster completely. Like they're stripping it down to that way they can pay Brock Purdy. I'm going under. Like I think Shanahan will get them 8 wins, but their roster is completely decimated. So I'm going 8 wins for the 49ers this year. Like the 49ers are fun to watch whenever they have the roster, but even with the roster, like they got to stay healthy, man. Like that was a big problem for them last year. That's the reason why they went 6-11 is because they were hurt drastically. So I'm going to go 8 wins, and honestly, I think that's being generous, considering the fact they went 6-11 last year. Granted, like I said, they were really injured. Then they got rid of a lot of players, so I think 8 wins is generous for the 49ers.
You know, Eddie, it's kind of sad because I think that Super Bowl window probably closed for the 49ers.
Oh,
it was there for a while. They kept going to the Super Bowl and they kept losing. It's sad. I wanted Shanahan to win a Super Bowl, especially that was it last year or the year before when they played the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
2023.
Exactly, but I don't see it happening now. You know that magic, and that's the thing. Like when you have the opportunity, you gotta take it.
You got to pounce.
Yeah.
I think they'll be back. Like the 49ers, John Lynch and Shanahan, they're really good at drafting. I give them maybe a year, probably 2, and then they'll have the players back, and they'll probably be back competing for the Super Bowl. Like I trust them. Next up is the Washington Commanders.
Ooh.
They went 12-5 last year. They got them set at 10.5 wins. What do you got for the Commanders this year? Over under?
Over. I think the Commanders might win 13, 14 games. I'll go 13.5.
All right, I got them sitting at 13 too. I think it's going to come like that division, the NFC or the NFC East is going to come down between the Commanders and Eagles, in my opinion. The Eagles, like you said it yourself and I said it, they're going to take a step back this year a little bit. I mean, I still think they're going to be good, but they're going to take a step back. They lost a lot of good players, and the Commanders, they're ascending too. So would I be surprised if the Commanders took that division next year? Not by any stretch. I would not be surprised. So I'm pushing, 12 wins, 12.5, right around that area is what I'm pushing for the Commanders. Next up is our boys. And by the way, these are going in order from the top, win totals down to who's going to get like the least amount of wins. So the next up is the Denver Broncos. And I'm sure you probably saw this, Mohamed. I saw it like last week that they got the Broncos going 9-5. Mohamed, you pushing the over or under for that?
Definitely over. I'm guessing Sean Payton and George Payton gonna be cooking up something this draft coming up. I would say 12. I would say 12.5, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm putting them right up there with the Chargers, probably about 11.5, 12 wins. I think the Broncos are going to do because we talked about it. The Chiefs are done. They need to be like the 49ers. They need to go in the midst of a rebuild. Start getting rid of some of your older players. Start a rebuild. Mahomes is only 29. He's still probably got, I'd say at least at the most, probably about 10 years, but more probably like maybe 7 or 8 years left. Like, it's okay. Go ahead and do a rebuild. With the way teams do things now, man, like you can do a rebuild within a season.
Exactly.
Trade some players, get some draft capital, draft really well, and then you're good to go the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, the Texans have done it. The Broncos have done it. It doesn't take that much. But I got the Broncos going 12 wins. I think them and the Chargers, just like the Commanders and Eagles, I think the Chargers and Broncos are going to be battling out for first place in the AFC West this year. I really do. Which is so sad. Like the Broncos won 10 games last year with a rookie quarterback, and they took on the majority of the Russell Wilson dead cap, and they still went 10-7 and made the playoffs. But yet they're going to lose they're going to go under 10 wins this year. They're going to go 9.5. That doesn't make any sense. This roster they had more money. They really upgraded parts of their team they needed. Tight end, inside linebacker, safety. And now they can literally go into the draft and take, best position available, which, I mean, they still need a running back, but like you said, this running back class is freaking stacked.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to get that running back, and the fact they didn't have a running game or tight end, a running back one or a tight end one last year and still went 10-7 and made the playoffs. Imagine what they're going to do now with Evan Ingram and a running back that actually, run the ball. So I'm pushing 12 wins for the Broncos this year. And
Eddie, after this season, the disrespect is going to stop. I think so.
I don't think so. Even when the Broncos won the Super Bowl last time, Super Bowl 50, leading up to that game, Peyton Manning wasn't playing great, but we had an otherworldly defense. We had like a legendary stacked defense. People were still saying, oh, the Steelers are going to destroy him. The Patriots are going to destroy him. Cam Newton and the Panthers are going to destroy him. We got no respect. We never will. Denver's a flyover city. We'll never get respect. We could be in the we could win this year, go back to the Super Bowl next year, and they'd still probably pick us to lose. But I think the Broncos are going to be battling with the Chargers for the first place in the AFC West. And, I got them at 12 wins. Next up, Green Bay Packers. They went 11-6 last year, and this seems kind of disrespectful to me too, just like the Broncos. They went 11-6 last year, but they got the Packers at 9.5 wins. Mohammed, you pushing the over/under on this?
Definitely over. They're pretty good, Eddie. You said they got them at what, 10.5?
9.5.
Oh, 9.5. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I would say 11.5, 12 wins, easy for the Packers.
I'm going to go with what they pretty much ended with last year. I'm going to go 11 wins. And honestly, I think they'll win more than 9 games, of course. I think they're going to go 11.5 because that division to me, I think is going to the Bears are going to be a lot better this year. They really drastically improved their offensive line now that Brad Johnson's there. They improved their offensive line to protect Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to have a breakout year. J.J. McCarthy is going to be the starter in Minnesota. And I think Kevin O'Connell is going to be really, really good this year. I think, I know they lost some pieces, but Kevin McConnell and J.J. McCarthy, I think, is going to be a really good combination. And, of course, the Detroit Lions. I just said earlier, I think they're going to probably take first in the whole NFC. I think they're going to be the 1 seed. So I'll give the Packers 11 wins, 11.5. But I think they're going to stay right where they were last year. They're going to be fighting for a wild card spot this year. Because that division to me is a lot harder than what I think the Broncos or Chargers are going to have to go through. Because all those teams, like I said, the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, they're all ascending. They got, the Lions are really good. The, Vikings are going to have their franchise QB and JJ. The Bears have their franchise QB. So that's just my point. So I'm going over or about the same, honestly. Next up, Texans. They went 10-7 last year, and now they got them at 10. Or I'm sorry, they got them at 9.5 wins. You pushing the over or under on this?
Over. I would say 10. I don't know what happened with them last season, Eddie. They just couldn't get everything right. They kind of lost something, compared to that first season. But I would say 10 wins, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a half game more. I'm going to go 10 wins too. They went 10-7 last year, but I agree with you. What the hell are they doing? They traded their best offensive, CJ Stroud, granted, okay, he had his sophomore slump is what they call it. Whatever, but they didn't have an offensive line. They didn't have one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to say under 9.5 wins. I think they're going to go probably 7. I hate to say that. I think CJ Stroud is phenomenal, but why in the hell would you trade your best offensive lineman when your offensive line was a problem?
If you look at the highlights from last season, Eddie, he was just running for his life. He couldn't get as soon as the ball got snapped. And guess who's going to be dealing with the same situation next season? Patrick Mahomes. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. At least Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid. You know what I mean? He's got that offensive genius mastermind guru. Mm-hmm. What does CJ Stroud have? He has freaking DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded guy.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, the defense is phenomenal in Houston, but you saw your young rookie quarterback running for his freaking life last year. Granted, I think Tank Dell or Nico Collins, one of those two, was hurt. They were out most of the season. I think they tore their ACL. So they're coming back from a big injury. You just trade away your best offensive lineman. Like, I'm going 7 wins for the Texans. They missed the playoffs. They go under 500.
Maybe
They
they
all
draft.
depends on what they do in the
Maybe
draft.
they drafted for the O line this season, Eddie. Maybe they drafted tackle. Maybe that's what they're thinking. You know.
Maybe I think the Texans are picking right around where we're at too. I think they're picking right around 19, maybe.
Like yeah. So maybe
Did the
that's
Texans make the? Did they make the playoffs? No, they didn't. Did they?
Oh, they did.
No,
They
yeah,
did. They lost to the Chiefs first round.
that's right. So I think they're picking right around that 18 to 23 mark or something like. They're 17 to 23 is where they're picking. But yeah, but one offensive lineman's not going to make up for a whole offense. Like, they didn't really pick up anybody. They lost Stephon Diggs, which is fine because he's a diva. But you're hoping Nico Collins comes back healthy after he just came off a season-ending injury. You desperately need to upgrade the offensive line. I don't think they really did that this year. I mean, I don't remember any big signings the Texans made this offseason. Do you?
Nope.
So I think CJ Stroud's still going to be running for his life. Like, the only reason why I give the Chiefs more win or what did I put the Chiefs at again? 9 wins, I think. We both put them at like 9.5.
Yep, you said 9.
And that's being generous. I'm giving them a 2.5 game lead over the Texans only because they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That's with a horrible offensive line. But it's like the Texans are in the same predicament. The big thing I have with that though is CJ Stroud's had one good year, one bad year, and he's got a defensive-minded head coach. I think 7 wins for the Texans this year, man. I really do. I hate to say that. The Texans are fun to watch. CJ Stroud's fun to watch, but unless they're drafting all freaking offensive linemen in the draft this year, I don't see them doing much.
Nope.
And they hit on those draft picks.
Exactly. And even if you hit, it takes time for that to actually,
develop.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They went 10-7 last year, and they're set at 9.5 wins. Over or under, Mohammed?
I don't know, Eddie. Like, I would say under. I was kind of disappointed too. I thought they were doing pretty well, and then I don't know what happened. They lost to us, obviously, and then things just started not going their way. I think they're gonna drop. I would say 9 wins. You said 10-7, right? I mean 10, 10.5.
They went 10-7 last year, but they're set at 9.5 this year.
9.5. I would say around 9, under 9 wins.
I'm going to give them the benefit of that. I think they go the same this year, 10-7. The Saints are in cap hell. Granted, their new head coach, who is it? Kellen Moore is their new head coach. The Panthers, I still think they're a year away. They need to upgrade that defense drastically. They need to add at least another weapon, some offensive line. But I would say they go 10-7 this year. I think their only real competition in that division are going to be the Falcons because Michael Penix looked really, really good last year in the limited games he did play. They still have they did lose their center of the Falcons in, but they still have a solid offensive line. They still got solid weapons. They really need to get a pass rusher this draft. So I'm going to stick with 10-7. I think that's what they go to again this year. And probably I could see them getting in the playoffs, but if they do, I think there'll be another first-round exit again. So, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat, guys. Next up, this is wild to me. Arizona Cardinals, they got set 8.5 wins. They went 8-9 last year. Mohammed, you pushing the over/under on this?
I guess I'll give them maybe an extra game or so, Eddie. I'll say maybe they win 9. I'll just say 9.5.
I think I'm going to go with 7-10. I'm going to push the under on this because Kyler Murray hasn't shown me he can really win unless Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray have that breakout connection this year, which is possible. I mean, Trey McBride, too, if he has that breakout year. I don't trust their running back room. I don't trust their offensive line. And honestly, outside of Collins, pass rushing room-wise, I don't trust their pass rush. I mean, they have Buda Baker, but they don't really have any good corners I like. And honestly, I think Gannon's on the hot seat this year. So I'm going to go 7-10 for the Cardinals this year. They might sneak in another win. They might go 8-9 again this year. Depending on, like I said, I think the Rams are going to win that division. The 49ers, I think, are going to take a step back, like we talked about. And the Seahawks, like, they could be dangerous, but I don't know. We just, like, Sam Darnold to me is still a question mark. He had one good season out of every season. Like, how long has he been in the NFL? Like 6-7 years, and he's only had one good season. So I'm going to go with 7 and win. I think they'll be last place in that division. Maybe it could be the 49ers, but we'll have to wait and see.
But Eddie, like, what happened with their wide receiver, Marvin Jr.? Everybody was like, "This is gonna be like the best wide receiver there is." And you think it's Kyler Murray? Like, I don't know. I was kind of disappointed.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it might have been Kyler Murray. Like, I just don't think he's that great of a quarterback. They might be looking for a new. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, they just signed Kyler Murray, not last offseason, but 2023's offseason. They signed him to a contract. So I think they're stuck with him for at least another couple of years. But I wouldn't be surprised if next offseason they're looking for a quarterback. Like,
Eddie, he
Murray
can't see
needs
the
to break
field.
out this year.
Yeah, he's
Huh?
just like Russell Wilson. He cannot see the field. He can't see. I'm sorry, his height. He just can't see.
And I believe Murray going into the season, he's either going to be 27 or 28, which is still young. But basically, we talk about it all the time. Once players hit, especially quarterbacks, once they hit that like 30 mark, especially quarterbacks like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, once they hit about that 30-year-old mark, they start declining. Their play starts going down because they rely on their athleticism so much. They rely on getting outside the pocket because they can't see and making plays down the field. Like, if Kyler Murray doesn't have a breakout year this year, I could totally see the freaking Cardinals saying, okay, next year they're going to probably fire Gannon, hire a new head coach, and probably draft a new quarterback next year, depending on what Kyler Murray does and the Cardinals do this year. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. I hope Marvin Harrison has a breakout year. I was really wanting to watch him last year and see how well he did. And I don't even think he was a leading receiver on his team. I think Trey McBride was, if I remember right, but I could be wrong. I had to look at and fact check myself. But next up is the Chicago Bears. They went 5-12 last year, but their win total this year is set at 8.5. Muhammad, over or under?
8.5? No. I mean, I think with their new coach, I'd give them 11 to 12. I'll go with the over, Eddie. I'll say 12 games.
Well, you got the Bears up there. Okay. I'm pushing the over too, but not by much. A half a game. I'll give them 9 wins. They went 5-12 last year. Like, we don't know how Brad Johnson and Caleb Williams are gonna, work together.
Mitch, okay.
And honestly, I think making the jump from 5 wins up to 12 wins is like, I mean, is it possible? Maybe the Bears go 10, but I said the same thing about the Broncos last year. In 2022, they went 5-12. The Broncos. Wait, no, sorry. That was 2022. 2023, the Broncos went 8-9 with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Sean Payton had to have 2 years, and he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. Had to have 2 years before he got to 10 wins with a rookie quarterback. So I'm not going to go too far with that. I'll say at the max, they win 10 games this year.
See, Eddie, like, the team is loaded, though. Loaded with talent.
I know, but so is that division.
Huh?
So is that division.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know, bro. I really don't. Like, I'm going to say 9 wins. I think they start creeping up. Like, I mean, I think with the addition of the offensive line and Brad Johnson to that team, like I said, they went 5-12 last year. I think 4 wins is a good measuring stick I think an extra 4 wins for a season is worth Brad Johnson and the pieces they made on the offensive line. That's just me. I think asking for like 9 more wins, that's pushing it too far. I could be wrong. Maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe they go out there and Caleb Williams balls out of his freaking mind and becomes
Yeah.
like, a great freaking court. I mean, I'm sure he will, but he turns out to be this masculine baller in year 2, and the Bears win the division. Anything's possible, but I'm just saying I give them 4 extra wins this year from last year with the addition of Brad Johnson and the offensive lineman they added. So next up, Dallas Cowboys. They went 7-10 last year. And they got them set 8.5 wins. Mohammed, you pushing the over/under on this?
The Cowboys. I would say 7 wins, Eddie. I have no hope for this team. I seriously like you know Eddie, like Stephen A. Smith always be making fun of the Cowboys. I don't blame him. I don't like Jerry Jones need to leave that team alone. He needs to hire a general manager and have the general manager pick his coach and leave it alone. He's just not. Why are you laughing at it?
So much disrespect, but I'm going to go even lower. I say 5 wins.
You know, Eddie, like so many friends that I have are Cowboys fans. They're gonna be yelling at me tomorrow, but it is what it is.
Hey, 5 wins. The reason why I say that, they still haven't extended Michael Parsons, and I would not be surprised if they don't extend him by the start of the season. He will sit out. That is their best, honestly, in my opinion, that's the best player on their team is Michael Parsons.
Hey, they need to go ahead and just trade him. Let him win. Let him go to a team where he can win.
Behind Michael Parsons, the second best player on that team is CJ Lamb or CJ Lamb, CD Lamb. They paid him. They paid Dak. Like, I don't know if they even have the money to pay Michael Parsons, dude. Like, they paid Dak $60 million a year, and they paid why do I keep messing up his name? CD Lamb. They paid him a buttload of money. And Brian Schottenheimer, their new head coach. Nobody knows anything about this guy. We don't know if he's going to be good or bad. And Dak, he went out last year with a season-ending injury for the second time in his career, and he's 31. I'm pushing the under. I'm saying 5 wins. They're going to get swept by the Eagles, and they're going to get swept by the Commanders. That's 4 losses right there.
But you know what, Eddie? Like Micah Parsons, like seriously, they need to trade him. Let him go to a team where he can maybe go to the Bills or go somewhere where he can actually win. He's gonna ask for a lot of money though, Eddie. Are we paying
him? Dude, that guy will freaking make Mahomes' life a living hell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can only imagine, Eddie. Don't even let me start entertaining this idea.
Our defense was top 5 last year. You had Drake Greenlaw, Hufanga, with Patrick Surtain back there, with Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito. Like, oh my God, could you imagine adding Micah Parsons to the defensive line? Oh my God, dude. He would fucking or outside linebacker, I'm sorry. He would fucking run over everybody. He'd actually be on a playoff caliber team that could actually win in the playoffs and not choke like Cowboys have for 30 years. And he would have a real live head coach and a real life quarterback. But yeah, I'm pushing the under. 5 wins for the Cowboys. They ain't doing shit this year. Next up, Miami Dolphins. They went 8-9 last year, and they got them set 8.5 wins. Mohammed, over or under for you?
Same thing, Eddie. I would go under. I would say 7.5 wins. They had their chance. Was it last? Not the season before when they beat us pretty bad.
2023.
Yeah, 23. They went into like this win streak, and then I don't know what happened to them, and now I mean I don't know, their wide receiver doesn't want to stay there. Tyreek Hill. So I don't know, Eddie. Like I'll say 7.5. I don't see them making the playoffs.
I agree with you. I say 7.5. Like I said, like that team is 1 a head bump away from having to rebuild completely and having to draft a new quarterback. He gets popped, and I like Tua. He's fun to watch, but that kid needs to learn when to freaking slide, bro. He's going to play himself right out of the NFL with his style of play. The guy's going to be freaking 60 years old and have Alzheimer's because he's getting his brain racked so many freaking times. But I'm pushing the under. Like Tyreek Hill wants out. Their defense wasn't really all that great last year, so I'm gonna go the under too. But yeah, like I said, that team is 1-2 a hit away from freaking having to rebuild and get a new quarterback.
But Adi, like honestly, like with Tua, when he got hit again, I was actually against him coming back to playing. I know I argued with some people on Facebook, but I just thought that after that hit, he should have just retired. You know, for his family, I would say. But I guess he wanted to play. But is it really worth it? Because like you said, Eddie, it's just one hit could just you know you might go, no, you might get paralyzed or something. God forbid. I mean, guess that's his decision to make.
Yeah, I wish for the best for him, man. I really hope he doesn't get hurt again. For not because I just like watching him play, but for his sake, and his family's sake. Like being what is he now? Like 25, 26? I don't want to see that kid freaking having to be in a wheelchair from being paralyzed,
Exactly.
because he takes too many headshots. But next up, this one to me is a joke. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings went 14-3 last year. They got them set 8.5 wins. Mohammed, you pushing the over under on the 8.5?
That's funny, Eddie. I don't think they'll win 14 games. Um, because they'll have the rookie playing. I would say maybe 10 wins, Eddie, 9.5, 10 wins. I'll go with 10. I'll go with yeah, I'll go with 10.
I'm going to go the over two. I'm going to go with 11. Kevin O'Connell, that defense is still really good, and Kevin O'Connell being there, it all depends on JJ McCarthy too. Like if he's ready to go by the start of the season, I'm going to go 11 wins. I think JJ is going to be better than Sam Darnold, even in his first full year starting. Like his rookie year, he got cut short because he got injured, but Sam Darnold took, like I said, 6 or 7 seasons to have one good season. I think JJ McCarthy, with Kevin O'Connell, him being his handpicked guy, I think he has a good season. And I think they stay at 11 wins. I don't think they go below that. They won 14 games with Sam Darnold. I think they won 11 with, him. And then maybe the following year, they probably get right back to that 14 mark, honestly, depending on how JJ plays and how well he improves from his injury. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers. They went 10-7 last year with the combination of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. This year they got them set 8.5 wins. Over or under, Mohammed?
I hate to say, I don't know, Eddie. Like with their coach, I would say 9 wins. Just because of the coach. But like losing, I mean, they didn't even have like a good quarterback to begin with. I mean, they had Russell Wilson. He left, went to the Giants, and then the other kid went to the Jets, right? No,
Yep.
he did go to the Jets, yeah. So, yeah, I'll say 9 wins, Eddie. They barely makes the. I don't know if they make the playoffs this season, Eddie.
I'm going under 8.5. I'm going 8 wins.
Yeah.
The reason why is because the AFC, there's like I said, we talked about the Chargers, the Broncos, they're ascending. The Patriots, I think, are going to be ascending this year, with Drake May and now Mike Vrabel, a coach actually, took a Titans franchise with Ryan Tannehill and made the playoffs multiple years and got the 1 seed one year. And honestly, they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Like this team is going to be garbage this year. Like 8 wins. They're going to be under 500 and miss the playoffs this year for the first time in I don't know how many years, since Mike Tomlin's been there at least, because they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. They're literally doing the same thing the Broncos did with Russ, the freaking Jets did with Aaron Rodgers last year. Like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're at your whim here. Anything you want, here you go. People are saying, oh, Mike Tomlin's not going to allow that to happen. He already has. The fact that he's sitting here has no court. He's got, I think, I don't even know who Skylar Thompson and freaking Mason Rudolph again. That's their quarterback room right now because they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he's already got control of that franchise, and he's not even part of them yet. Because they're sitting here, they're the last team they're looking for a quarterback.
But Eddie, you think Aaron Rodgers is still waiting for the Vikings? Because they're not going to be calling for him. I think they already came out and said no, they're not.
Well, they kind of flip flopped. The Vikings did. They originally said no, then they said, well, maybe. But I'm going to say no. The Vikings are so like, I understand, like, but at the same time, it's like if you're worried about JJ's, injury, if you don't think he's gonna be ready to go, why the heck didn't you just bring back Sam Darnold then?
Exactly.
Why?
Because Aaron Rodgers, if you bring him in, it's going to be hard to go to JJ.
Yep, because he's not going to want to sit. If
No.
JJ gets fully healed and you're like, okay, we're ready to move on to JJ, Aaron Rodgers is going to pitch a freaking fit.
He would.
And that's something you don't need with your franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Steelers, they're the last team, like every other team, the Jets, the Giants, even like the teams that, like the Giants, for instance, like they don't even know if they're going to be able to get Shador or Cam Moore because they think they might go 1-2. The Browns might take Shador. So they went out and got Russell Wilson, and they also signed Jameis Winston. Like every team in the NFL, well, I mean, maybe the Browns, but they're probably going to take Shador. Or they're probably just going to run with Kenny Pickett this year. But it's like every team in the NFL has their quarterback outside of the Steelers because they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, which to me, you're already giving Aaron Rodgers control. Like if you actually sign Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin's not in charge of that team anymore. Because if you sign Aaron Rodgers now after him playing these games and you having to wait on him, and I've heard reports that he's going to wait up until the freaking night of the draft to make his decision to see where, what the Steelers do in the first round, whether if he's going to go there or not. So it might even be after the draft Aaron Rodgers signs with the freaking Steelers to see what they do. Like, if they take a quarterback, regardless if it's in the first, second, or third round, Aaron Rodgers might be like, nah, I'm good. But at the same time, Aaron Rodgers has no other options. Steelers are his last option. That's it.
Otherwise, it's going to just sit.
Well, I don't think if he sits out a year, I doubt any team's going to take him next year. He's already old. He's going to be 42 next offseason. He looked washed his last year in New York. You think a year off is going to give him any? No.
He needs to retire.
I agree.
He'd probably get a gold jacket. What do you think, Eddie?
Yeah. He has, like, the 2 years he played in New York. Well, the first year he got injured 4 plays into the season, was out the entire year. But even last year, I don't think Aaron Rodgers played nearly as bad as Russell Wilson did in 2022. He didn't. I mean, I think Rodgers is washed, but he did not play as bad as Russ. But Russ is still younger. He's like 5-6 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. So,
Eddie, this might be off topic, but I'm not going to lie. I almost kind of wonder because I think the Broncos wanted to bring him in. That didn't work. But I always wondered, like, what would have happened? You think he would have been worse than Russell Wilson? I don't think so, Eddie. I really don't care for the guy. I don't need it.
With Nathaniel Hackett, if we would have took Aaron Rodgers in 2022 with Nathaniel Hackett, I think we would have been about the same. And honestly, at that time, we had the owners, like they took over the team like a month before the season started in 2022. But Aaron Rodgers would have ran that team just like Russell Wilson. He would have ran the team into the ground in 2022. Honestly, I couldn't picture it getting any worse than what it already was with Russ and Hackett in 2022. I think it would probably been about the same. Only you would have had more of a diva. Like Russell Wilson, for all the stuff we make fun of him for not being authentic, being a robot type of player, at least he wasn't full of drama. Rodgers would have brought drama. I mean, it probably would have been for other teams and other, fan bases, it would have been funny for them to watch. Like, look at you. You got Rodgers and you're a freaking dumpster fire and he's a drama queen. So I don't think it would have made a damn bit of difference. But the fact that they're waiting on Rodgers already tells me Rodgers got hold over that. And, the AFC is already stacked as is. And I don't think the freaking Steelers are going to do anything this year, especially if Mason Rudolph is their starter or Skylar Thompson. Like they're going to be under 500. And I think, what did I say, 7? No, 8 wins. They're going to be 8-9. They're going to be 8-9, miss the playoffs, and be under 500. And I think that'll finally be enough for Steeler fans and the ownership in Pittsburgh say, Mike Tomlin, we're going to go in a different direction. We need some new blood in here. Yeah. So Next up, Seattle Seahawks. They went 10-7 last year. And their win total this year is 8-5. Muhammad, over or under?
Definitely over. I think, Eddie. I think they did themselves a service by trading away Gino. Um, I would give them 10 wins, Eddie. I'll say they win 10.
So you think they're going to go the same as last year, 10-7?
Yeah.
I agree. Now that could change. It just it couldn't change, but it could be worse. It just depends on what Sam Darnold does. Like, is Sam Darnold did he finally get fixed? Did Sam Darnold finally turn into that franchise type of QB? Because if so, then the Seahawks could be really, really dangerous. They could actually win that division as Sam Darnold turns into that franchise guy. They have a good roster. Kenneth Walker, I mean, they traded away DK Metcalf, but they got JSM. They got rid of Tyler Lockett. You know, they got a solid offensive line. They got Noah Fant at tight end. They got a good defense. Like, if Sam Darnold could be just, I'd say like 80% of what he was last year, that team could be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it all depends on Sam Darnold, honestly. So I'm going to go with the same thing, 10-7. Like I said, I got the Rams winning that division. I think I got the Rams at 11 wins this year, so I still think the Rams win that division. I think the Seahawks are the only team in that division that's going to be a challenge for the Rams this year. But that, like, again, that all depends on how Sam Darnold plays. So next up, New England Patriots went 4-13 last year, and they're set at 7.5 wins. Muhammad, over or under?
For the Patriots,
Yeah.
definitely over, Eddie. I think Drake May is very promising. It is his first going to be like his first season. I would say I'll give him like 9 wins, 89. Let's say 9.5.
I got them about 8.5.
8.5. Okay, so
I think Mike Vrabel added to that team. If Drake May takes that next step, I think that's with an additional 4.5 games, because they went 4-13 last year. They still be under 500. They're still going to miss the playoffs, but if Drake May pops this year and Mike Vrabel, we all know what kind of coach he is. I think they can win 8.5 games this year. So that's my take on the Patriots. And I mean, they also added Stephon Diggs, which to me is another diva type player. So next up, we got the Atlanta Falcons. They went 8-9 last year, and they're set at 7.5 this year. What, over or under, Muhammad?
Definitely over. I think Cousins is not going to be ready, right, Eddie? It's going to be Phoenix, right? Most likely.
Yeah, Cousins ain't playing no more.
Okay. I'll go with 10.5.
I'm gonna go with over, but I'm gonna go with 9-8. Like, to me, it just Penix, like I said, he played good in the few little games he did play last year, but he only played he started like 3 games last year. And I'm still worried about the Falcons defense. Like, they need a pass rusher. You know, they need to get another corner. They need a safety. They need, an inside linebacker. Like, they need a lot of pieces on that defense. I'll go 9-8. Like I said, I picked Tampa to win that division this year because I think they have an overall better roster. They still got Mike Evans. They still got Chris Godwin. They still got Baker Mayfield. They got a good offensive line. They got a good defense. So I'm going 9-8 for the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, Carolina Panthers. They went 5-12 last year. Their win total this year is 6.5. Over or under, Mohammed?
6.5. I'll say 7. So over.
You hit it right on the head. That's exactly what I was going to pick.
Yeah. Same thing, Eddie. Just like Jerry Jones, like the Panthers is the owner, man. He needs to leave that team alone. Like, I don't know why they keep like interfering. Like, that's the problem. All the teams that have the same issue would never win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, it's what it is, Eddie.
I'm going with 7 wins myself. I think they go 7-10. The reason why I'm giving them, they really didn't add a whole lot this offseason. I think Adam Thielen retired. Let's see what they do in the draft. But also at the same time, like they benched Bryce Young last year and he came back and he looked really good after he came back from being benched. I'm going to give them an additional 2 wins from last year to this year, and they go 7-10, and they start, and they start. Hopefully, they could draft really well this year in the draft, and maybe start building this roster and being actually competitive. But if I had to guess right now, I'm going to say 7-10. That's what the Panthers are going to be in 2025. Next up, Indianapolis Colts. They went 8-9 last year. Their win total set 6.5. Over or under, Muhammad?
I don't really trust their quarterback, Eddie, like whatever he was doing last year. But I think 6.5 is pretty low. I would say same thing like the Panthers, 7. I'll say 7.5. I'll go with the over for the Colts.
I'll give them the over too, but just by half a game. I'm going to give them 7.
7. Okay.
Like they didn't. I like Latu, the pass rusher they drafted last year. They still, their offensive line kind of has me a little worried. I mean, Quentin Nelson's still there, but he's getting older. Jonathan Taylor's still a damn good running back. What else? The receivers, they need to really upgrade the receiver room. The tight end room, they need to upgrade. I think their top tight end last year was Mo Ali Cox, and I don't even think he's there anymore. And honestly, it comes down to the quarterback. Like, Anthony Richardson does not look like he's an NFL starting caliber quarterback. And then who'd they bring in to compete with him this year? Daniel freaking Jones. They have a horrid quarterback room. And maybe the last year, like the first 2 years being there in Indianapolis, I gave Shane Steichen a pass. But this year, he's got to do something. Year 3, he's going into year 3 as their head coach. He's got to do something. Like, whether if it's, with Anthony, trying to get Anthony Richardson to play as a starting caliber quarterback, maybe finally developing freaking Daniel Jones into that quarterback that he could be, maybe that the Giants thought they were drafting, or if he gets a quarterback in the draft, like he's got to win. He's got to do something. But if I had to pick right now, I'm giving them 7 wins. Like, I don't trust it. I don't trust the quarterback room. And that's a big thing. Like, you have to have a quarterback, and they have 2 quarterbacks that are not very good with accuracy at all. So, or reading the defense for that matter. So I'm going 7 wins. And I think that's being kind of generous. Next up, Jacksonville Jaguars. They went 4-13 last year, and their win total is set at 6.5. Muhammad, over or under?
I think that's about right, Eddie. Like I don't really think who did they get for a coach, Eddie? I forgot.
I forgot his name, but he was the OC for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he kind of revitalized Baker Mayfield's career.
Yeah, okay.
I forgot his name though.
The coach, I'll give him 8 wins, Eddie. Let's see if the coach can get, because I still believe in their quarterback. I don't think he's elite by any means, but I think he's decent. So maybe he can get something out of him. 8 wins, over.
I'll give them. I'm trying to think, they're in the AFC South. Titans. I'll give them. I'll give them 8 wins too. Like, and I think I'm being a little bit generous here again. Like, I don't know, like I said, the head coach there now in the Jaguars was the guy that kind of revitalized Baker Mayfield's career, but he's never been a head coach before. So, and Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 pick in the draft. He was comped to freaking Peyton Manning when he came out. So far, his career has been disastrous. Like, he has not lived up to that potential at all. I think this, and you're in the weak AFC South. The only team in that division that should relatively scare you is the Texans. They were supposed to win last year. The Jaguars were supposed to win that division, and they fell flat.
It shows it.
They were I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they were worse than the Colts. The only team worse than them in their division was the Titans. That's it. and the Titans have the number 1 overall pick. So I'll be generous. I'll try to get. They went 4-13 last year. You know what? No, I'm not gonna give them. I'm not gonna give them 8 wins. I'll give them 7 at best. Like I can't for the life of me. Okay. I can't for the life of me give them 8 wins. I really can't. I can't do it. Like I don't know how their head coach is going to be. Trevor Lawrence has, so far in my opinion, been a bust up till this point. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 more teams, Mohammed.
Okay.
Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders went 4-13 last year. Their win total is set at 5.5. Mohammed, over or under?
Unfortunately, Eddie, I would love to go under. I think they're going to be winning a little bit more games with their new head coach, new quarterback. I have a feeling they're going to probably try to draft Ashton Genty if he's available at 6 and break my heart. But I think he can get 7. He can get 7 to 8 wins, Eddie. I'll say 7.5. Pete Carroll.
I'm going 6.5. I'll go the over. They're set at 5.5, but they only went 4-13. And even if they draft Genty, dude, I mean, come on. Geno Smith is going to be the 4th best quarterback. Pete Carroll, he's the 3rd best head coach in that division. And they literally don't have a defense. They got Brock Bowers. That's it. They don't have an offensive line. If they draft Genty, they'll have a running back. They'll have a running back in the tight end. They ain't going to have a great quarterback, great offensive line, great wide receivers, great defense. I'll give him 6.5 wins. And I think that's seriously being generous. Yes, Pete Carroll's a Super Bowl winning head coach, but he ain't got a lot to work with there in Vegas. He really doesn't. Excuse me.
I said no one to draft Genty, Eddie. Like it's that fault to me.
But here's the thing. People are saying, oh, the Raiders are going to be better than last year, which I think they will be a little bit, but they're not going to be otherworldly. The reason why people are saying they're going to finish last in the division, people are like, well, they do have Geno and Pete Carroll who play, they worked well together in, Seattle. Yeah, but think about Seattle's roster. Pete Carroll had a great defense there. Like, he had a lot of good young talent. They had Kenneth Walker. They had DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant. They had a better offensive line in Seattle. They ain't going above 6.5 wins this year, in my opinion. Like, especially in a division with the Chiefs, who we already talked about. They will take a step back, but the Chiefs are going to freaking sweep them. I'll give the Chiefs that. They're going to sweep the Raiders. I would not be surprised if the Broncos and Chargers were going to sweep them. That's 6 losses right there. So, yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. I'm saying 6.5, and I think that's being generous. Hell, I think Vegas is being generous with giving them 5.5. But next up, New Orleans Saints. They went 5-12 last year. Their win total set at 5.5 this year. Mohammed, over or under?
You said 5.5?
Yeah.
So Derek Carr comes back, right? They didn't cut him or anything, did they?
I think they extended him.
Because I think he got hurt last season.
He did.
They had a different quarterback.
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. I'll say 8 wins, Eddie.
What was it? What did they win last year? They went 5-12. They're set at 5.5. I'm going to stick with the 5.5. I'm going to stick with Vegas on this because Kellen Moore is a great OC, but as Broncos country knows, just because you're a good OC does not mean you're going to be a great head coach.
Nope.
And honestly, it depends on Derek Carr. Is he healthy? Is he going to be healthy enough to start? And if he is healthy, is he going to be good enough? And I think they're still like $50 million over the cap, dude.
Yeah, that's their issue. Seriously, That's why Sean Payton left in the first place, Eddie. Like it was just
Yeah,
cap. He couldn't do anything.
I don't know if you know this, but it's been reported that Sean Payton wasn't the one responsible for that. It was Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis was the one responsible for the Saints being in cap hell as bad as they are now and were. It wasn't Sean Payton. That's why Sean Payton left. He has respect for Mickey Loomis, but Sean's like, yeah, I can't do this. You literally put us in cap hell, and I can't add pieces of this roster to stay competitive after Drew Brees retired. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with what Vegas has 5.5 for the Saints. Like during cap hell, I don't know what Kellen Moore is gonna be. I don't know if Derek Carr is gonna be healthy, and if he is healthy, how well is he gonna play? And their roster is getting older. Defense, Alvin Kamara is getting older. Who's Michael Thomas is getting older. I think he's coming off an injury too. Taysom Hill's older. Every player on that defense is getting old as crap. And they traded a lot. Marshawn Lattimore, their best corner last year. So I say 5.5. Excuse me. All right. Big one right here, Mohammed. New York Giants went 3-14 last year. Their win total is set at 5.5 wins. Over or under?
Who's their quarterback?
It's either going to be Jameis or Russell Wilson. or I'm sorry, Tommy DeVito.
Tommy. I'll say I'll go over it. I'll say 6 wins. They might draft Shador, Eddie, if the Browns don't take a quarterback.
Maybe. But if I had to guess right now,
don't say under. Come on.
Brian Daboll's on the hot seat. I'm going under 4 wins. I'm going under.
Okay.
Like Brian Daboll, like I think that whole thing is worn off for Giant fans, honestly, because he did develop Josh Allen. He has that on his resume. Now, was that just a fluke and Josh Allen was just really good and just took some time to develop? Is Brian Daboll really that much of a quarterback genius? Or is it Daboll is really not a genius and he got lucky with Josh Allen? Or is it Daniel Jones was that fucking bad? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, he's going to have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Like, Russell Wilson, he did play okay in Pittsburgh last year, but his last 5 games, dude, they got beat. Russell Wilson played like ass. Jameis Winston, turnover machine. As Bronco fans know, man, we picked his ass off twice last year, or 3 times, right?
Yeah. 3 times.
Well, I know 2 of them were pick sixes. 2 of them were pick sixes. So, I don't know. I'm going to say 4 wins, dude. I don't think the Giants, like, they really need to tear it down, get a new head coach, in my opinion. Like, they got a lot of good they traded for Brian Burns last offseason. They got I forgot the other guy, pass rusher's name they got. They got Andrew Thomas. They don't have a running back that's worth a damn. They ain't got a great tight end. They got Malik Neighbors. I'm going to say 4 wins. Like, I don't trust their coach, their quarterback, their defense. I don't trust. Nope. Next up, the New York Jets. They went 5-12 last year with Aaron Rodgers. They're set at 5.5 wins this year. Muhammad, over or under?
I'll go under. I think 5 wins is kind of decent.
You said over? Or
No,
under?
Yeah, 5.
Well, they do have Justin Fields, and they do have a new head coach, but this is kind of, to me, I'm going to go with the under 2. I'm going to go 4 wins. And it's not because of the coach. It's not because of Justin Fields. It's what you talked about earlier with the Panthers, and we always talk about with the Cowboys. Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
The guy is a joke as an owner. He's owned that team for 25 freaking years. And he sucks at drafting quarterbacks. He sucks at freaking hiring head coaches. No, the Jets are a dumpster fire.
It's like a game to them, I think, those billionaires, because they don't care. They just
And if the Jets are bad again this year, I'm not blaming Anthony Glenn because he's actually, I mean, once again, he's a DC. I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach. Maybe he sucks. Maybe he's terrible as a head coach. I don't know. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give Justin Fields the benefit of the doubt because he did play really well. He had a really shitty situation in Chicago for years. They sucked. Last year when he played for Pittsburgh and started for him, dude, he was actually playing well. I think he won, 4 games for them out of like 6? So I'm not going to lay it at the feet of Justin Fields or Anthony Glenn, but I will lay it at the feet of Woody Johnson. No more than 4 wins. This roster needs to be tore down completely and rebuilt.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got 2 more teams. Next up, the Tennessee Titans. Went 3-14 last year. Their win total set 5.5. Over or under, Mohammed?
I'll say 6, Eddie. I'll give him like half. Go over. I know they're gonna draft Cam Ward, but it's gonna take some time for that team to get built and all that. So they need a couple of years, I think. So I'll give them like 6 wins.
I don't know about the coach. I think who's their coach? It's Brian Callahan, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, they're going to draft Cam Ward, which is fine. Get your franchise QB. But I'm going to stay right where they're at. I'm going to stay at 5.5. They went 3-14 last year. That team literally has no freaking talent. None. They don't have a great offensive line. They don't have freaking a defense. They don't have wide receivers or a running back anymore after getting rid of, Derrick Henry. I'll say 5.5. I'll agree with Vegas on this. Hopefully and honestly, we both know, Mohammed, that this quarterback class this year, that the only 2 first-round quarterbacks are Shedeur and Cam Ward. And even people are, I wouldn't say skeptical about them being first-round picks because they will be first-round picks. But Cam Ward being the number 1 overall pick, a lot of people don't think he is. A lot of people think Travis Hunter should be the number 1 overall pick. Or who is the other one? Abdul Carter, I think it is. Should be the number 1 overall pick. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with what Vegas says, 5.5 wins. But yeah, we just got to see how Brian Callahan does. Like they said, they don't have any talent on that freaking team. And Cameron Ward's going to be a rookie. So he's probably going to have his struggles, honestly. So last team, rounding this whole thing out. The Cleveland Browns went 3-14 last year, and their win total this year is set 4.5. So they're the lowest, total win team this year. Mohammed, over or under?
I agree with Vegas here, Eddie. 4.5 is where I see them. They have a lot of issues. I don't know what they're gonna do with quarterback. I don't know if they're gonna draft Shedeur. Are they sticking with what they have? I don't know what they're gonna do, but they have a lot of issues. So I think 4.5. I'm staying with Vegas.
I'm gonna go slightly under 4. I'm gonna go with 4 wins because at this point it looks like their starting quarterback's gonna be Kenny Pickett. Because yeah, they owe Deshaun all that money, but he got hurt last year. He popped his Achilles like towards the end of the year, so he's probably not gonna be ready to go by week 1. And even if he is, I don't think they're going to play him anymore. He was that freaking bad. Before he even got hurt, he was terrible.
He needs to retire, Eddie. Seriously.
So they're going to probably start Kenny Pickett. Myles Garrett's probably happy because he got that big contract this offseason, $40 million per. And they got Jerry Jeudy, but Nick Chubb is a shell of his former self. He's not the same running back. Their offensive line, although good, is getting really old. They still have David Njoku. Like, I just without the quarterback, dude, I can't in my right mind, say, hey, you're gonna be, you're gonna get more than 4 wins this year. I can't do it. And if they don't draft Shedeur this year,
they should.
Like they're pick 2. They could very easily take Shedeur, and that way they at least have their quarterback for the future on the roster. So when they get out of the Deshaun contract, that's when they can pay Shedeur. But they're going to play him regardless. If they draft Shedeur, he's going to play automatically on his rookie contract. And if he plays good, guess what? You got your quarterback of the future. You won't have to pay him until after you get rid of Deshaun Watson. You actually have the money to pay him. And if he
Honestly,
plays
Eddie,
bad,
I think he's gonna play good, but how would Primetime feel about his son going to the Browns? That's my question.
I don't think he's going to like it.
Yeah, because he's already made some comments about he is not gonna let his son go to certain teams. So I don't know.
Yeah, but players and the parents of players, they always say that kind of stuff, but they wind up so I mean, what was it? Last year, was it? Yeah, it was last year. Caleb Williams and his dad were both saying, "We're not going to let my son go to Chicago." He went there anyway.
Yeah,
So, but I'm just saying, like I can't see any more than 4 wins for the Cleveland Browns. Even if they draft Shador, maybe if they draft Shador and he plays out of his mind, he plays really good, then maybe I can give them more than 4 wins. But because even if Shador sucks next year or he sucks over the next couple of years, you could draft, like, I'm pretty sure in 2026, Arch Manning comes out. Imagine Arch Manning going to the Browns and saving that franchise.
I don't want.
So
You see, I don't want him to come to our division. I just hope he gets drafted by somebody else.
who's that? Oh, Arch?
Yeah.
He's not. Like, the Chiefs ain't going to draft anybody. They got Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers ain't going to draft anybody. They got Justin Herbert, and they just signed him to a long-term contract. And the Raiders ain't going to draft him either. They just signed Geno Smith to a 2-year deal. I'm pretty sure he had multiple years left on his deal with the Seahawks. He's tied with them for at least the next 3 years, Geno Smith is, to the Raiders. And as long as Pete Carroll's there, I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to wait until the next head coach comes in after 3 years after Pete Carroll's done to draft their next quarterback. So that's my thoughts on that. But Ed, do we have time, Mohammed? Did you want to go over real quick who do you think's going to be first and last in the divisions, or do you got to go?
Well, like in our division,
I was going to
or
say the whole end.
now I guess we can do that next week, but we can touch on the fact that the Broncos might trade up or trade down if you want.
All right. Now, guys, there has been rumors speculating that me and Muhammad, I think, both saw the same video earlier. And I don't know if you guys have been on YouTube today, but there is a video around there with rumors surfacing saying that Sean Payton is really in love with Ashton Genty, and he's willing to trade up the picks 8 or 9, trade the first round, maybe a second rounder or a third rounder, to trade up to 8 or 9 to pick Genty. Muhammad, when you heard that, what was your initial gut reaction?
Honestly, Eddie, it didn't make sense to me because I know how deep this draft is as far as like running backs. Why would we have to do that? There's still some decent running backs if we stay at 20. Now, if they want Tyler Warren, for example, it would make more sense to me that we'll move up, get him, and then we could still get a running back on the third round. Let's say we give up our second round pick, so that would make more sense to me. But for Ashton Genty, I don't know. Probably do
We kind of talked about this before we went live tonight, but me personally, if Sean Payton wants to do it, I'm not going to argue. Like, if he wants to trade our first and second round pick to trade that picks 8 or 9, if Genty's still there and he wants to get Genty, who everybody is saying, like, I don't know, like, I could be wrong, I could be right, that he's a generational talent. Like, if Sean Payton really truly believes that, he thinks this is like a game-changing cornerstone, blue chip, going to surefire be a Hall of Famer type player, then you got to do it. I not say got to do it, but if Sean Payton really believes that, and he thinks that this Genty is going to help lead this team to a Super Bowl victory, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't right in your right conscience be like, yeah, he's a generational player. If we draft him, we can get to the Super Bowl and win it. Like, I have full faith in Sean Payton. Whatever he decides to do, the only thing that would make me really upset, but I would still trust Sean Payton, is if they don't go running back first round. Now, I understand, if they're a pick 20, Hampton's gone, Genty's gone, and the rest of the guys, running back wise, you don't have in the first round. You have them, as, second rounders. You don't have them high on your big board. At that point, I'd be like, hey, Broncos, trade back, get some more draft capital, and take a freaking tight end or something or a wide receiver in round 1 and late in the first. Then you get an additional probably second round pick. And, you got 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. You take a receiver or tight end in round 1, and then round 2, you can take, whatever you didn't take in round 1. Say you take a tight end in round 1. Take your running back with your first, second pick, and then a running back and running back with your first, second round pick, and then a tight end or a receiver with your second round pick. So, but if they trade up to 8 or 9 and give up a second to get Genty, I'm not going to argue with it. I trust Sean Payton fully. Like, everybody was bagging on him so hard last year for taking Bo Nix, saying, "Oh, Sean Payton, drafted a 3rd round QB in the 1st round. Well, what an idiot!" Yeah. Now you people look like idiots.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is a franchise caliber quarterback. And honestly, he was not very far behind Jaden Daniels for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
He wasn't. He had more touchdowns and more passing yards. I think the only reason why Genty even won that damn thing is because he went farther into the playoffs. That's the only reason. Like, if you look at both Jaden and Bo Nix's numbers, Bo Nix beat him in a lot of categories numbers-wise last year.
True.
The only reason why I think Jaden won it was because, like I said, he went to the NFC Championship game in his rookie year. Like, if Bo Nix would have made it to the AFC Championship game last year, nobody in their right mind could have said Jaden Daniels Offensive Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. Or if they both would have got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. You couldn't have said, oh, Jaden Daniels this, Jaden Daniels that. He might have had a few more wow plays than Bo Nix, but number-wise, he was not even, he was not beating Bo Nix.
No.
And Bo Nix had less to work with and an $85 million dead cap hit and still put up those type of numbers. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. We'll be back next week to talk more about Broncos football, and then the week after that, of course. And then we got the draft. Me and Muhammad on the 24th, the first round of the NFL draft. Me and him will be going live for the entire first round that night, and going over all the picks. You'll get our live time reactions to each team's pick, and honestly, I'll probably react the same way last year. Maybe not as much, because when we drafted Bo Nix last year, when I was on that live, dude, I freaked out. You can go check that out at Colorado Sports Connection. It was a year ago. We had like a big video of us sitting there doing going over the draft while it was going on. And when Bo Nix got selected, because everybody else is talking about, oh, take Brock Bowers, trade back. I'm like, no, you take Bo Nix if he's your franchise guy. Everybody was just like, damn, man, whenever we drafted him. And I'm sitting here freaking cheering like a little schoolgirl. So, but make sure you catch us on the 24th. Like I said, we're going to be going for the whole night, the whole first round. We will be on here going over every pick. And we'll be back next week. But Muhammad, any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Just can't wait for the draft, Eddie. I'm really excited.
Me too. And after that, it's going to be a barren wasteland of football news, because June's always, there's nothing. Like, April, you got the draft. May, you got the schedule release, rookie minicamp, and all these other things in May. And then June, you got nothing. Like, literally nothing coming out. July, that's when the players really start reporting, because training camp starts at the end of July. And then once August gets here, man, we're going to be going on all cylinders. You got preseason, training camp, and then the season will be here before we know it. So, Muhammad, it was great talking to you tonight, man. I think we got through a lot tonight. Had a lot of fun. But I will see you next week, brother. And everybody, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also, hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Muhammad, I'll see you next week, man.
All right, bro.
Take it easy, guys.